Here's the truth. Starting a faceless YouTube channel is way easier than you think, but most people get it completely wrong, and that's why their channels never grow. So today, I'm breaking down exactly how to start a faceless channel that actually gets views and subscribers. And at the end, we'll even go over how to make more money as a faceless creator. But first, here's the guide you need to get started. Let's begin by defining what I mean by a faceless channel. In this case, a channel where the creator themselves do not appear on camera. This could look like voiceover content, text-to-speech animation, slideshows, hands-only shots, POV, gameplay, AI, or even stock footage. Why is this model so attractive? Numerous niches are more about information or experience than personality. It allows for anonymity, which reduces pressure and risk. It's easier to scale, outsource, and batch content, and overall, there's a lower production overhead, meaning you don't need to invest in camera gear, lighting, etc. But just because it's easier in these ways doesn't mean it's simple. And to succeed, you still need strategy and consistency. Let's talk about finding the right niches and keyword strategy. Using the vidIQ tool, you can research which niches have strong demand and low competition. Some types of niches for channels could sound like the following: explainers, educational, how-to tutorials, tech guides, product reviews, comparison videos, facts, curiosities, myths, storytelling, any type of listicle content, top 10s or countdowns, and then we have relaxation, ambient meditation, and music loops. So how do you do this? Well, using your vidIQ research tool, you want to find 3 to 5 high volume, low competition keywords in your chosen niche. Look at the related keywords and see what viewers are already searching for. And then the icing on the cake here is to cross-reference that with our outlier tool. Honestly, this is the secret sauce. Your outlier tool is going to show you what is performing the best for creators on the platform right now. And those videos are reaching a wider and new audience for those creators. Seriously though, this is where you want to begin. Now, moving on to thumbnails, titles, and packaging. Just because you don't have your face to build an emotional connection doesn't mean you don't need to build one. And I would argue your packaging matters even more. You want to focus on titles that promise intrigue, benefit, curiosity, the things we continuously talk about here at vidIQ for what makes a good title. That's not going to change for a faceless creator. Your thumbnails could change a bit. You still want to focus on high contrast, clear imagery, and impactful text. However, in this instance, you might be relying a little bit more on using text, and you might be relying more on having a very crisp and clear image, since you're missing one thing, which is potentially yourself from the thumbnail. Now, even traditional channels choose to use faceless thumbnails, and they're often even more successful at reaching a wider audience because you don't need any kind of connection to the person on the thumbnail to be interested. So we do want to keep traditional practices alive, but we also want to focus a little bit heavier on the branding. Even in faceless channels, consistency matters. Font color, font choice, schemes, basic styles, we want people to start to recognize your brand, and this is something a more traditional channel would have just with using themselves on the thumbnail. You see that creator, you know who they are, you clicked based just on their likeness. Well, we need to make sure we are implementing the same thing for your audience. It's just going to come across in different ways, like the font or the color. So this is super important thing, and of course the packaging is always going to matter. It's just going to look a little bit different. Now, product and scaling content. You want to think about batchworking content, meaning writing multiple scripts for multiple videos in advance. You can also use voiceover or text-to-speech as long as you're not compromising quality. Even AI voices can help you out, but you need to make sure the editing, pacing, and clarity is all up to the standards that your target audience is going to want to enjoy. Outsourcing, editing thumbnails, and motion graphics whenever possible absolutely helps with scaling, and maintaining a content calendar is going to help many successful faceless channels upload multiple times a week and have a more frequent upload schedule based on how much easier it is to batch content when we don't have the pressure to appear on camera. And we do have the use of tools that make it a little bit quicker to create content. Let's talk about some common mistakes and algorithm risks that you absolutely want to avoid. Here are pitfalls creators often fall into: using copyrighted music or stock footage improperly, which of course runs the risk of strikes, copyright claims, demonetization, having poor audio quality. This is probably the one we really want to highlight. Viewers leave fast if voiceovers are muffled or low quality, and if you're relying on your voiceover content to be your personality, and it's how you're telling your story, you definitely want to invest in clear audio because it's going to make for a very enjoyable viewer experience. Overusing generic AI voices without editing can leave your content feeling robotic and less engaging. Jumping too many niches too many times leaves for inconsistent expectations from your audience, which will most likely just lead to general disinterest in your content. And of course, the last one would be ignoring YouTube's policies, meaning community guidelines, reuse rules, especially with reuse content and compilations from the updated 2025 policies. You're always going to want to make sure and double check that what you're doing is meeting those guidelines. Now, let's get into how to make money beyond ads and some monetization strategies. Once you hit those 1,000 subscribers, those 4,000 watch hours, you make money just through the ads. And it's a good start. But moving on from that, we jump into affiliate marketing. This is where the magic can really happen. You can pick products that are related to your niche, recommend them in your content, especially if you're a creator doing tutorial content, review content. These links go in your description. And if your content is good and your audience is interested, you can make some commission based off of those links. We also have digital product and downloads. If you're in an educational channel space, this might be where you shine. If you have courses to sell or tutorials or anything like that, a digital product is going to be your best friend. We have sponsorships and brand deals, yes, even for Faceless channels. We have memberships, channel memberships, Patreon, any type of service like that, even if it's off platform, and then merch and licensing if available. Now, when we're talking about merch, simple designs can work and you want it to be unique. And this is where we kind of jump back into the building a brand part. And if you have a strong enough brand, you're able to sell things that become sacred language to your audience. The secret for earning even more money as a Faceless creator is when you're able to start stacking these. And that's where you're earning income from all of these little places. And sometimes it's much more than just the YouTube ad revenue itself. So let's talk action plan. Everything we've gone over and how you're going to start your Faceless channel. 1 is going to be to pick your niche and research it. 2, decide on a content format you can stick with, whether it's animation or voiceover tutorial. 3, plan your first 5 videos. Yes, this includes titles and thumbnails. First, I also want you to think about including affiliate or product ideas that come to mind and then can come into play when we think about these monetization strategies. Even if it's just a starting point and you want to make a video for a company you might want to work for in the future, not only will it make for a great video, but it's something you're passionate about and can play into the long game. 4 is going to be to create the video. Focus on the good audio, the clean visuals, the consistency, and also just the repetition. Remember, you are learning. Don't be too hard on yourself. This is where you also get to enhance skills and pick up new skills and all around just work on being a YouTuber. 5, publish regularly. Monitor your retention, monitor your click-through rate, and your comments. See what types of content are performing best. When we're thinking topics and ideas, use that as inspiration to double down on things and see if you find more success. Faceless channels are not slowing down on YouTube, and it's giving everybody the opportunity to start a channel. Even though there are some big differences between traditional and faceless content, you really are following a lot of the same YouTube advice, especially when trying to get views, in which case this next video might be quite helpful.